Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, March the 7th. Things are marching on in this year, isn't it? So I'm hopeful that you will get a lot out of today's presentation because Charles has worked really hard on doing a lot of back investigation and preparing this. He's talked with our experts at the company to come up with the presentation for today. So take good notes, and we are also offering a copy of this slide if you would like it. All right, there we go.
Thank you very much, Saundra. So yes, we're talking about the Affordable Care Act, and so what it means for employers, and what it means in our DASH system. So now, most of the people will think it's like if you have 50 or fewer employees, nothing applies to you. But there are options, which is what I found on the IRS website. And so it's like right here, I mentioned it, fewer than 25 full-time employees or full-time equivalent employees may be eligible for a small business healthcare tax credit to help cover the cost of providing coverage. 50 or fewer employees, you may be eligible to buy coverage through the Small Business Health Options Program or SHOP Marketplace. Now, that's for the employees that are the 50 or more full-time, 50 or fewer full-time or full-time equivalent employees, which is a good size of our clients. So they don't necessarily have to comply with certain Affordable Care Act provisions. But for those that are larger, 50 or more full-time or FTE employees, full-time equivalent employees, you are considered an applicable full-time employer. And I did include the acronyms in here. FTE is for full-time equivalent. ALE is for applicable full-time employer. And you do need to issue statements and file an annual information return reporting whether and what health insurance you offered employees. That's usually with your, what we consider like the 1095 forms. And this does include 50% common ownership. What does that mean? That means that if you have certain a group of companies where the ownership between them is, say, 50% or more, right, common ownership, then it's considered one entity for the purposes of the Affordable Care Act. So it all applies, the number of employees. And for full-time equivalent, there is a calculation that's done to determine that equivalency, and that was just put in there as a means for certain there are certain, unfortunately, none of our clients, of course, but there are some unscrupulous employers out there that would put all their employees at 39 hours a week and say, well, I don't have any full-time employees. So that was what that was developed for. Now, regardless of size, all employers that provide self-insured health coverage to employees must file an annual return reporting. So you could be a smaller company, but you've decided that you're going to provide that benefit. Benefits are a key thing for why people will work someplace. Then you do have to provide that kind of annual reporting. Now, further information can be provided at the IRS website, irs.gov, Affordable Care Act, and then employers. They have an entire section just for employers. Now, what does this look like in Dash? So I'm just going to go ahead and bring my Dash up and sign in. Bear with me just a second. Okay, and I'm going to show you the two places that we go inside Dash to basically handle when you are on our service. Now, you don't have to be on our Affordable Care Act service, but it may be convenient for you to do so. However, there are outside agencies that provide it. The healthcare plan provider may provide it. So it's just depending on what your needs are, what the costs would be for the different people who would carry this for you. We offer this as well so that you would be able to use it effectively with payroll. So, and what we use is we use the W-2 as our base for what we do, any kind of calculations and so forth. So the first place, there are two places that you would go in Dash to do anything regarding the ACA. And the first place is in the dashboards, the ACA audit dashboard. And so here, I'm going to pull up the year of 2023 and just hit search. And because we're in this one, it doesn't necessarily show you what this looks like for a particular year, because we don't have any in our demonstration site. We don't have anything for that. But I did pull up a demonstration, so I'm going to bring up right here. Going to pull it up. Is that it would look something like this if you pulled up the previous year. Now, this is useful. This is useful right here to show you what was the coverage for the previous year. And the other thing that's useful is you can actually, if you have across the board premiums, you can actually use the coverage bulk editor to bring them in from December of last year to come into the current year. And that's if the premiums are the same across the board. Because there are premiums that are, like I said, ones that are the same for each employee, and there are ones that are based on age, right? So that's going to be different depending upon the age of the employee. We wouldn't use this bulk editor to export that file. So I'm just going to go back to my dash right here. And so to do the coverage bulk editor, I can bring that up to show you what it looks like as I clicked on it. And I can select the year and the dates, and then the coverage code. Now, you see all these codes? We do have information on what these codes mean, but I don't need to go into specifics for this training of to what each individual one will be, other than in where we have this in the other section, in the HR section, it does have an informational screen that tells you what these codes stand for. You can put in the employee cost of the lowest cost plan. So you're going to have people that have different plans, right? Maybe you have one plan for everybody, or maybe you have a gold, a platinum, a silver, or a bronze plan. Whichever one has the lowest cost, that's going to be the cost that you put in here, because the idea is for the government to see that the lowest cost plan that you have is still affordable for your employees. And then you can also put mark if coverage was offered and considered self-insured and all that, and you hit OK, and it creates where you can actually, it will create that, what we saw in that slide that I showed, where everybody has this list and all their dates, and then you can click on export to create a file to review. And I do have a copy of that as well, so I'm going to bring that up. And again, what I've done is I've made it so that, any identifiable information is not included. And this is what you would review. You would put in for filters, you would add filters to it. All right, so I'll go not a view, but data and a filter. So you can filter by term dates and then hire dates. And why would you do that? Because you do need to go through and make sure that people were hired, say in July, don't have a listing that they had something, a deduction or coverage in January. And also somebody that was terminated, say in July as well, doesn't have any coverage listing in August. So you do need to go through and make your corrections. Now, how do you do that? The same way that you would do it for the age-based premium. And so I'm going to go back into Dash to show you that. And that is the HR section. You would go to benefits, and you would go to ACA coverage. And then what you can do is you can click on add at the bottom, and then you can use the coverage wizard to select the coverage for the different dates. All right. And here is where we have that information that tells you what these different coverage codes are. That is something, again, we don't need to go into description here for our purposes of each one, but that is something that we can work together on if you have questions, right? Which coverage applies. For the most part, the coverage that we would have is generally used as 1E, which is minimal essential coverage, and so forth. And then you'd also have the application relief code. And the ones that we typically use are C, which is accepted, and F, which is it says section 498 affordable. That is generally for waived. So this has to be done before the information can be submitted to our ACA team, to where they can provide the 1099 PDFs for you to review and make sure everything is correct, because that is our process. You would need to go through and make sure that all corrections and all entries are made. Send that to us. We provide you with the 1095 PDF prior to submitting it to the agencies or providing it for you to give to the employees. So you can review it, make sure it's all correct, and then we go through that process of the reporting. And so that is basically it in a nutshell. That is what you as a client are face when you see this. You either do it through the HR tab or the dashboard, or a combination thereof, because you do need to use this tab in order to correct anybody that's not supposed to be covered for the entire year of the policy plan, or of the calendar year. And you make that determination.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We hope you found the information useful, and we are very, very pleased and thankful that you are part of our PayrollCentric family. Goodbye for now.